I guess the question is,
Yeah.
are you comparable with Pep Guardiola?
I think what it is, I think it just shows two passionate managers, really. I think everybody has their own. I couldn't do Pep's job because the type of player that Pep has, they're all multimillionaires and everything. And to get, that his team at the moment over the last 2 years are the best team I've ever seen in my lifetime. Manchester City. I have never seen anything like it. I was at Cardiff City and we played Man City and we're 0-0. I think 25 minutes. And we're playing really well. And I'm stood there on a lovely day, a typical football day, a little drizzle on that. And I'm thinking, wow, we're doing well here. And we go in at half time, 3-0 down. And the third goal just before half time, Silva scores it, and I'm don't forget I'm the manager of the home team, and he scores it from outside the box, and I'm going, what a fantastic goal that is in my mind, and I'm the manager, and the 3-0, and you couldn't fault any of my lads. They were just amazing, and they moved on. They moved football on so much, and I really hope they win the Champions League because it's one thing that has been missing.
Is it hard to get your player? I know they're all professional in that, but still, when you see you're coming up against like a great Man City team, as you say, the best team you've ever seen, is it hard to get your players up for that?
No, it's not hard, but you've I think they're up for games like that, but you've got to be so organised. Everyone has got, because if there's one weakness in your team, and really, with the teams that I've got, there's more than one weakness in at times. That's no disrespect to them. But if there's a weakness in a team, Manchester City find it. They find it. They're so good at moving the ball around and things like. I mean, I've never seen football like it. But having said that, I think Pep respects me as well. Are you with me? When we played him over there, and I went in his office after. He was a bit annoyed, I think, at the time because his daughters wanted pictures with me, not him.
I love it. What's he like as a man? Is
smashing? Yeah, is he? Lovely man. They all are. Jurgen is. I think I've had one or two run-ins with managers, and you'll have to come to one of my shows. I don't want to give you too much away, but it's nice to get one or two things off my chest. After I've finished. Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe this is one you can't answer then, because Steve, you had a question about the.
Yeah, I was intrigued to know whether there were any managers that you properly locked horns with, because obviously in our my biggest one was probably Fergie and Wenger. They had a bit of a thing going on.
I've got stories about them. Yeah.
What he means is he's not going to give too much away. Buy a fucking ticket.
and Benitez. No, I've got a few stories. I mean, I get on with a lot of people. Think I don't get on with anybody, the story, because it's better for people to think that I'm the Marmite man and all that lot, and I just go along with it. Me, if I'm honest, what I try and do wherever I've been is try to give the ordinary fans an enjoyable afternoon. I want them to enjoy the football. I want them to see crosses, shots, saves, oohs and ahs, and referee. I mean, I can't stop myself with referees, can I? It's one of those things. My dad was a Class 1 ref. He used to say the best referees are the ones you don't see. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, now you go in the referee's room before the game. They look like male models, some of them. And I'm thinking, oh no, my God, we've got him today, and that, but there are good referees, Anthony Taylor lately, I think he's been absolutely fantastic, mate. But then, you see your Mike Dean.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because I was getting around the name.
Yeah. I mean, they said to me, when he was retiring, they said, Neil, there's news today that Mike Dean's retired. I said, 10 years too late. You
didn't get on with him.
I didn't want to use the whole phrase.
You're fine here. You're fine.
Was it one that, if you saw you had Mike Dean reffing the game that day, it'd be like you'd be gutted?
And I knew we'd get nothing. I mean, once at Burnley, he gave us a penalty and then talked to the linesman, and within 5 minutes changed his mind and give it. And then they scored a goal. The kid up front was off in front of the goalie on the goal line, interfering with the goalie, and the head at Barnes it was, that's right. He headed a ball from 6 yards out. He's in front there, and he didn't disallow it at all.
Really?
And you just know. I just knew when I got Mike Dean that I'd get nothing really. And it's same with Craig Pawson. I've had Barney's with him with Chelsea over the years. I've been fined I don't know how much, twice. I once at the first game at Palace, Scott Dan did a foul and got booked, and And about 10 minutes later, John Terry did a worse foul and got up, put his arm around Craig Pawson and talking, John Terry, blah, 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 and never even booked him. And I said something after, I said, well, you saw John Terry's booking. Now, that was a lot worse a tackle than Scott Dan's, and yet he didn't get booked. If that was one of my lads, he'd get booked.
Right.
I think it was 15 grand I got done.
Really?
For saying that. Yeah, because I'm insinuating that Craig Pawson was, what's the word?
Corrupt?
No, not corrupt. No, that's on your website, Paul.
Biased.
No, so there's another word for it. Not natural.
Influenced.
Yeah. Favouring?
No, forget it. Lads.
We're useless.
You lads have no chance. But,
I love the idea as well that you were taking, you've got a bit of a reputation for taking players with you. Is it Paddy Kenny have you had Paddy Kenny at 5 clubs?
5, yeah, probably. Yeah, when I took him to...
is he off the nightness?
It was what?
Is he off the nightness?
I know.
Remember that?
He was at Bradford Park Avenue, and I went to watch him, and a chunky little lad he were, but I loved him. He mouthed off, he shouted to his defenders, and he come and he was brave as a lion. And I'd only watched about half an hour, and I said, yeah, we'll have him. So we went and we signed him at Bury, and he came over, and I said, listen, I want you to have more experience, Paddy, than Bradford now, so I'm going to send you on loan. So where am I going, Gaffer? He says, I said, you're going to Whitby, son. Whitby, where's that? I said, up top here, from up above Scarborough. I said, lovely place. And I remember him he went for 3 months, which was the best thing he could do, because the man's game up there. But he rang me I think it was 1 December or January, when it was really cold. Gaffer, he says, any chance of me coming back? He said, it's the coldest place I've ever been to. But he come back and he was, I've always had good goalies. I've always got good goalies. Going back to Notts County, I had Steve Cherry and I've had Francis at Huddersfield and loads of others. But I could never sign strikers.
Could you not?
Oh, we're bad with strikers. Bloody hell.
You got half of it right then, because I was always, well, everybody should know in football, they've heard about that much. You always look at your goal scorer and your goalkeeper, your first two players, and you improve those two if you need to as quickly as you possibly can. Perhaps a goalkeeper's easier to find, but the front man is not as easy. But
And then, all goalies think they're strikers, by the way. If you actually in the
Edison
5-a-side,
they like to play out up front. There,
don't they? They always want to go up front, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Makes me think of David James that when he played up front. Yeah.
Well, when I was at Scarborough, Kevin Blackwell, that's when I first signed Kevin, who worked with me as my assistant for many years. Kevin was a goalkeeper, and he'd come on board. Anyway, when we got promotion, went to Spain, for a celebration. Like really, we had a fabulous bus then that they used to make in Scarborough. And so we used to. We'll take you down to Spain, anyhow. So we went down there and we played the Spanish team. Well, one of the team had glasses as thick as that. They were like Benny Hill glasses. Well, you won't remember Benny Hill, but they had glasses like this. He had it on a string. That was a striker in this game.
With glasses.
So we weren't doing so well. And this Stuart Mell, he was trying like hell to score at striker. So I says to. I don't remember the side. Paul Evans, it were my old mate, and I says to Paul, come on, let's substitute. We'll substitute the goal scorer, the top goal scorer, Stuart Mell. I said, what are you going to do? What are you going to put up front? I said, I'm going to put Blackie up front because he's the goalkeeper. I said, because he always says what a striker he is, doesn't he? Right. So we substituted Stuart Mell and put Blackie up front. Well, Stuart Mell would absolutely destroy a goalkeeper taking his place. So Blackie goes in and scored a hat-trick. In 45 minutes, he scored a hat-trick. Well, I've never heard it. Every time I see him now, for the last 25 years, he brings it up every time. Can you remember that? That substitution he made in Spain, Gaffer, and all that. But he did. He scored, good decent goals and all actually. But they all think they're gifted.
Do you know when I've had 8 promotions in that respect, and when I look at my teams were never the best team, but they were probably the best dressing room. And when we've overcome hurdles.
Do you know how important is that?
You're proud, aren't you? When you look around the dressing room, you must be the same with your lads last few years. When you look around that dressing room, you think, "Wow, I want to go in."
No, I'm not that type of manager like you are.
No.
Oh, I would have loved to be a guide for the manager, but today all the new generation. I'm sorry to tell you. So comparing you and me as a new generation. is more about tactics, about wide angles, singles.
Yeah.
And before, but you grew up without wide angles, without sports science and people giving that. It's more skiing. It's more eye contact. It's more going to the dinner, say the more stupid thing and laugh for the stupid thing, and create this vibe that is not about trainings. It's not about the 4-4-2 or 4-3-3 or this kind of stuff that today is a modern football happen. And I'm not like that. I'm not that because I grew up in that generation, and I would love to have that sense to the players.
Yeah.
Like can see me as a father, or can see me like this these hacks or this that when you shout them, it's because even laugh when you shout. Yeah. And right now, I mean, it's me. It's completely different. I'm sorry. I would love to be most of the time like.
Well, like when I look at managers over all divisions, I still think successful ones. You can have all the coaching and all the systems and 4-2-3, 5-3-2, and all this lot. I still feel that the successful ones are the best man managers. I still think man management is the main ingredient that you need to be successful. Because in my squads, I needed my players to go through a brick wall for me. Yeah. They had to, and that's how my players are. Whereas yours are slightly different because of the ability that they've got. Yeah. So,
but both I think, both teams, your teams, our teams, they run, as you said before. They run. They don't run, I'm in a problem. Yeah. Of course, I was lucky than you because I had Messi. Yeah. And you didn't have. No. I have an exceptional players that break the wall. It was easier for me than for you. But at the end is that if you don't have that,
and you had the first three. You had Messi. Did you have him for the first 3 years?
Yeah. No, just arrived. When I arrived, I had him.
I think obviously it were a weight one. Have I touched on this one yet?
No.
No?
No.
Or we were talking about it before?
Told me before, yes.
Edit that bit, can't
Yes.
No, and I'd wanted to lose a bit of weight, and I went to see Tony Daly, who were our fitness coach at the time, and I said, I want to lose a bit of weight before season starts. Right, we'll do this, we'll do that. So I used to go on the bike before training, after training, just 20 minutes each day, a bit of a fat burner. And eventually I'd lost a stone, and I'd lost about 4 or 5% body fat. So I was down to about 50%. So anyway, season started, and when I was playing Badderell, I just couldn't buy a save. And you go for it, it's like a striker not being able to score it sometimes. And I couldn't buy a save. And Warnock got me in the office, and he just went, "What's wrong with you? Why are you when I need you? That's what you normally there when I need you. Them important saves at them right moments, you're not there." I went, "Gaffer, do you know what? Since I've lost that weight, I've just not felt same." He went, "What weight?" I'm like, "Well, I've lost a stone, and my body fat's down 4 or 5% since last season." He went, "What?" I went, yeah, me and Tony have been doing it. He went, "I'll tell you what, get in your car and on your way home, get to McDonald's and put that weight back on now." You couldn't get there quick enough.
And did it help?
Yeah, I think I saved one off my backside about a week later, and then I were bang at it again.
So over 1600 is phenomenal. Can you remember your first game in charge, getting your chance?
I can't remember who we played, but my first game actually was Gainsborough Trinity, Alan. And I remember the chief, the guy, he ran the league actually, Ken Marsden they call him, Northern Premier League, and he ran the league, and everybody told me he picked the team, that he got the managers in, and I was a young manager. And I remember he came up to me before the game, "Are you playing so-and-so?" And I said, no. Well, the boardroom, they think you should play so-and-so, so-and-so. So I thought, well, I've got to start somewhere here. So I said, no, I'm not actually, Ken. I said, well, you have to see me after, won't you? And the kid didn't want me to play, scored 2 goals and we won. And when I come off the pitch, he was waiting for me, and he said, "Neil, we'll have to get that lad signed up now. He's not signed on proper contract." I thought, this is 90 minutes late. But that was good for me, because I realised if you don't do your own thing, even though you're panicking,
Back your own
you've no chance. Yeah. So it was a good good background for me, that.
But you could have been cheeky and said, well, you didn't want to play him in the first place. I told him, look, have a good 90 minutes. I'm letting you go after the game. Regardless of what happens, you watch him go, right?
I weren't that clever at that time, Alan. I would have said that now, but I don't think I weren't as clever at that time to think about that. I just looked at him and I thought, how stupid do you sound now, you know? I didn't have to say, oh.
Did he ever come across with any of that nonsense with you, mate?
No, but I'll tell you what, he's gripping listening now. I think he's he was a fantastic, nothing like his image, you know, the tanned, he doesn't know about football, everybody thought this, that and the other, you know, just using his money, but he's so passionate and he's so knowledgeable. And I have to say, he was brilliant for me. Managers need support, not when things are going well, when things aren't going well. And I remember after getting beat 2 or 3 at home one day, thinking about my position, and him coming in and saying, I said, well, what do you think? He said, you are the man. You're going to get us out of this and you're going to get on. And we did. His support was super. So, I you know, a lot of time for him.
What was your first impressions, though, Neil, when you first met him?
Well, we first met him having a slanging match. He was in the Palace boardroom. I think I was at Sheffield United, and we had a bit of a bust up in the boardroom, and we remembered that. But he's like me. When I go out of the room, it's gone. I forget. I don't. You know, you move on, and he remembered that, and he just asked me at a vulnerable time when I was going to retire all them years ago when I left Sheffield United. He just says, come down to Palace and have a look and help me out. Will you just have a look at what we need? And then within 3 weeks I was in charge. So it was a great time. I never thought about London, and to go down to Palace and then QPR, 2 great clubs atmosphere wise. So I've got a lot of time for him and his family. His dad's a great bloke as well. So, you know, it's I enjoy listening to the show.